Rishu Mohanka. I'm from West Palm Beach, Florida.
And I'm Ben Saxon. I'm from Westport, Connecticut.
We are studying at the University of Pennsylvania. I study physics and electrical engineering.
And I study electrical engineering.
I just graduated as a senior.
And I'm a rising sophomore.
I founded Penn Hyperloop, which is a tunneling team at the University of Pennsylvania. We competed in the Not a Boring competition hosted by The Boring Company. It's a microtunneling competition. They've been hosting this for I think about 4 or 5 years now. The mini events are dig a 1/2 meter diameter tunnel, 1 meter deep vertical. So it's a vertical bore. The idea is to get you understanding and introduced to the physics of cutter head, the basic physics and force body diagram with the TBM, reacting your thrust force, reacting your torque, and getting interested and understanding like your jacking forces and really everything it takes for a tunneling operation. And a lot of those physics, a lot of those concepts transfer over into the main event, which is a 30-meter horizontal tunnel. Even though it's just a vertical tunnel, a lot of the concepts are the same. And we won that mini event with just 4 engineers, 3 of whom were freshmen, just like Ben at that time. And I was a senior at the time. 4 engineers in 3 months, we built a winning TBM, micro TBM. And now we're scaling up into the main event for next year to build a 30-meter tunnel with our 1/2 meter diameter TBM, micro TBM. And we plan on winning. We plan on building the simplest TBM possible that is testable. We have an iterative approach to dominance.
To join an engineering club, to really get hands-on with some things. And so I joined this one team that was, I think, about 100 people at the time. I found it just to be very bloated. I couldn't take ownership and pride of what I was creating, what I was delivering. And so Rishu approached me about a couple months into my freshman year at Penn. And what he basically promised me was, we are a totally new team. We know nothing about tunnel boring, but in a span of 3 months, we're gonna basically go from knowing nothing to knowing not everything, but something about tunnel boring. And so he basically approached me with the promise of ownership over what I create and really having responsibility, as we call on the team, extreme ownership, really taking pride in what you deliver and what you create, and the responsibility if stuff goes wrong.
It's one holistic team with one goal. You're building one tunnel. Any organization is a bunch of vectors moving in different directions, and if they all move in different directions, you can have net zero output. But if you're all aligned with one mission going forward, you have positive output. And that's the way we operate. Every person is a responsible engineer for their subsystem, but they have inputs and outputs. And if there's an input that's blocking their work, as opposed to just waiting and just like nagging them all the time, oh, is this ready, is this ready? Like, go help them unblock their work, and that unblocks you too, because that helps the team as a whole. And I think that encourages engineers to become interdisciplinary engineers who can put on any hat and solve any problem when they're faced with it. Penn is very rigorous in its understandings and its teachings of physics, mathematics, engineering. And because of those principles, we are able to expand into new fields. Tunneling is not something a lot of people know about. And so I think we can help bring that to Penn, and we can help expose the brightest Penn engineers to the most important infrastructure problems for the next generation. Everyone's talking about electrification. Expanding the grid network is massive. Penn is one of the leaders in attracting engineers towards solving climate change problems and helping advance electrification. I think that tunneling is probably, microtunneling specifically, is probably where one of the biggest impacts can be held. And I think we can help a lot of Penn engineers get into that field. And a lot of people, mechanical engineering is big at Penn, electrical engineering, computer science, and physics. And so I think helping people come from different backgrounds, even chemical engineering for new lining systems and manufacturing, helping people from different backgrounds and exposing them to this new problem. Well, technically old problem, microtunneling, but with new approaches and new approaches towards electrification, I think that can help the country out as a whole. And we're proud to be Penn Hyperloop. That's our home, and that's where we're going to be innovating for the foreseeable future.
Totally. And something I think is also very interesting is that our team really gives students the opportunity to be hands-on, to have the spirit of hands-on creation. Something that I experienced throughout my classes was that just sort of attending classes, in my opinion, didn't really give me like the spirit of engineering. By joining this team and by really immersing myself in this hands-on problem, I could gain experience with my hands and really learn to love engineering in a way that I don't think I would have without this team.
Yeah, so I founded the team and I just graduated, and I worked at SpaceX for more than a year. took on a leave of absence. And I'm going back at SpaceX as a structures engineer, but I'm staying on as technical advisor and passing the mantle to our new team lead, Gabriel Zhang, who's our business ops lead, people like Ben, people like we have one of the greatest structures engineers at the university on our team, Alex Mejia. We have Mel Vimaretti, who's a freshman as a mechanical engineer, and he taught himself structures as well. So motivated people like Mehul, Alex, Gabriel, they're going to take, and Ben, they're going to take the mantle on for next year. And I think when you give people the freedom to figure it out on their own, then people can like blossom. And so, sometimes it's a little hard for me because it's my baby and you feel a little attached. Infrastructure is like one of those fields where if it works, people don't say anything, and they just they drive through your tunnels and their water's coming in fine, their toilets are working great. But if something breaks down, then they wreak havoc. And that is really difficult, and that makes it hard for people to understand how much work goes into it. Tunneling is probably one of the most challenging and unpredictable fields of engineering. It's so old, it's centuries old. Ancient civilizations did it. I think that's one thing that kind of attracts me, is that is the data side of it, and being able to accelerate how much data you can get, getting more accurate information. Because at the end of the day, your geotechnical report, your geological information at the very beginning of the project forms the basis for the entire thing. And it can make or break anything you do, and it can save your project too.
Over this past year, I've learned so much from Rishu, not only technical things, but also the philosophy of engineering. And so I think really, that's given me such a strong foundation for developing the team over the next 3 years. I think there's such a huge opportunity not only for me to continue developing myself, my own technical abilities, my own approach towards engineering, and so I hope by the time I become a junior or senior, I can eventually pass that on to the younger members of the team and create this cyclical period of growth for Penn.
Yeah, the tight-knit community is amazing. Like here, everyone's so willing to help us out, and the scholarship is the only reason why we're able to come here in the first place. And so, yeah, it's such a tight-knit community. I think that's what makes it even more attractive as a field, because you feel so supported and you feel like there's a future for you and everyone helping you. Like in one of the talks, there must have been at least 30 people, and the presenter knew everyone's name on a first name basis, asking questions. I mean, that was pretty amazing. I don't think you see that many places. And so even though people are competitors fighting for contracts or whatever, at the end of the day, everyone wants to help grow civilization.